Okay, next dinim over here in Kitzur is a dinim of what's called the Rechilis, Lashon Hara, Nikima, and Netira. Now, Rechilis is a pasuk in Chumash. It says, Leiselech Rachil ba'amecha. Not with a ches, with a chaf. Rachil literally means a peddler. How does that get to a gossiper? So it says, the Gemara says, what's a gossiper do? What does a peddler do? He buys goods in one place and sells them somewhere else. What does the gossiper do? He hears Lashon Hara in one place and then he goes say it to somewhere else. Now, Rechilis is something which is true even if it's not negative. Stam, what it is gossip. Like it says in Kitzur, even if it's true, nothing derogatory, it's still a negative commandment. And in fact, because of Rechilus, a lot of Jews were killed in the days of David HaMelech because of Rechilus. Therefore, like it says, Deiga Daimi, we learned this in the Gemara, that told Shaul that Achimelech, they gave David Tzeidah v'cherev, even though it was true, he gave him a food and he gave him a sword. Nevertheless, Shaul HaMelech got angry at him, and because of that, he killed out the whole city. So bottom line is, gossiping, even if what you're saying is true, is still biblically forbidden. Now, there's even something worse than that. Biblically. The pasuk says, Leiselech rochil ba'amecha, you're not allowed to be a gossiper. Even if it's true, you're not allowed to. Now, the worst sin, even worse than gossip, is Lashon Hara. Because Lashon Hara is when you speak bad about a person. See, there's three things. There's Rechilus, which is gossiping, even if it's true and it's not negative. Lashon Hara is when you speak bad about somebody, even if it's true. A Meitzi Shemra is, it's also all three biblical. Meitzi Shemra is you speak bad about somebody, it's not even true. So these are the three sins. That the Rechilis is you speak gossip even if it's true and not derogatory, not negative. Lashon Hara is when you speak truth but it's bad. And Meitzi Shemra is even worse. Now Lashon Hara, as we all know, the Chafetz Chaim wrote a lot of svarim on Lashon Hara. Therefore, he's called the Chafetz Chaim. That was the name of one of his svarim. He's called the Chafetz Chaim because the pasuk says, until we say every Shabbos in davening, Mi Ohish Chafetz Chaim, Oyev Yamin L'Yireis, who's a man that wants to live, Nitzar L'Shein Chomeirah, to hold back your tongue from evil. So therefore, in fact, the Chafetz Chaim was very much into Lashon Hara. It's a very interesting story. The Chafetz Chaim was very close with Rebbe Rashab. Rabbi Chaim Brisket, Rabbi Chaim Eized, they were all very close. The four of them were very close. So the Mishnah Berurah once asked the Rebbe Rashab the following. He said, Chassidim are not very particular about Lashon Hara. Yet, about a beard, they're willing to give up their life. A beard, not to shave the beard completely, they're willing to give up their life. So he said, I don't understand. Lashon Hara is 6 negative commandments. Many negative commandments. Whatever, there's a lot of Vedas that all fit into the concept of Lashon Hara. And he said, that's biblical. Beard, many opinions hold, if you don't use a razor, it's not allowed. Maybe it's biblical. He said, why are the Chassidim not careful so much with Lashon Hara as they are careful about a beard? So the Rebbe Rashab said to him the following. When a guy sits down to shave his beard, he goes to the barber shop, he sits down in the chair, he puts on the apron, and he puts up his face, and the guy cuts. He said, that's premeditated. That's a premeditated sin. Lashon Hara, nobody sits down, well, they do, but they're not supposed to. Nobody sits down and says, okay, let's talk Lashon Hara. It's spontaneous. He said, it's a spontaneous sin. A spontaneous sin is not as bad as a premeditated sin. And that's what he answered him. But nevertheless, Lashon Hara is not a good thing.
How do they communicate?
What?
How do they communicate with each other?
They met together at the meetings for the benefit of the there were certain, the Rabbanim used to get together, and for their gzeirus against the Jews in Russia and various different places, they would meet, and then they communicated by letters, they communicated by shluchim, that were sent to give over messages, and the Reb Chaim Brisker, Reb Chaim Eiser, the Rebbe Rashavnim, and the Mishnah Berurah, the Chafetz Chaim were very, very close. Okay, in fact, they were once at a meeting together, a bunch of them. Reb Chaim Brisker, Reb Chaim Eiser, and Fried Gab. I don't know if the Rebbe Rashavnim. I don't know if the Mishnah Berurah, the Chafetz Chaim was there. They tried to nullify a decree from the Russian government, and they were not successful. They weren't successful. So later, Reb Chaim Brisker saw the Rebbe Rashab sitting in his room crying. So the Reb Chaim Brisker said to the Rebbe Rashab, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, he said in Yiddish, he said, "Why are you crying? We did everything possible." So the Rebbe Rashab said to him, "Yeah, we did everything possible, but the decree was still not nullified." It's not only what we do, we have to get accomplished that there shouldn't be a decree, and that we didn't accomplish, so I'm crying. Okay, so Lashon Hara is if you speak bad about somebody, even when it's true. Now, if you lie about somebody, meaning you say they did something bad, and it's not even true, so then obviously it's even worse. That's Meitzi Shemra. Okay, now, the Gemara says the one that listens to Lashon Hara is worse than the one that speaks it. Why? It's very simple. No speaker, no listener, no speaker. Nobody talks Lashon Hara to themselves in the room. You need a listener. So then when you have a listener, you have a talker. If there's nobody going to listen, why would the guy speak Lashon Hara? So the Gemara says the Makabale, the one that accepts Lashon Hara, is even worse than the one that speaks Lashon Hara. But the Gemara says in Erchin, is a famous Gemara, that Lashon Hara kills three people. It kills the talker, the listener, and the one they're talking about. So Rabbi Yain in the Gemara asks the question, not in the side of the Gemara. He says, okay, I understand the talker speaks Lashon Hara. The listener, I understand, he's listening. No listener, no talker. Never, the poor guy that they're talking bad about, why should he suffer from Lashon Hara? He didn't do anything wrong. Why is he suffering from it?
Why? We never get the answer.
First of all, we learned it many times, but let's leave that alone.
It's a new day.
There was a lot of wind then, you didn't hear either.
It's a new day.
So the answer is, the Beinayin answers like this. Every person has bad in themselves. No person's perfect, let's be a tzaddik. But every person has bad in them. But the bad in the person is dormanted, it's quiet. It's not revealed. What does speech do? Speech has the power of revealing. That's what speech is all about. To reveal something that you think or something which is not known, you speak it, you reveal it. So therefore, Rabbi Yoina says like this. When a person speaks Lashon Hara, they're actually hurting the person they're speaking about, because now that they spoke about it, the evil of that person is becoming revealed. And that's not a good thing. So three people are hurt by it. The talker, the listener, What?
What's ridiculous exactly? I can't go to a conversation saying someone went somewhere and did this. How do you,
How do you not do rechilas? By not talking at all the whole day. First of all, the chilas is also, by the way, part of Dvarim B'Teilim. Dvarim B'Teilim, the Rebbe explains, Dvarim B'Teilim could even be good words. Literally, Dvarim B'Teilim means idle conversation. Simply, it means there's no purpose in it. It's just, there's no purpose in it. But the Rebbe explains, Dvarim B'Teilim could mean you speak something very good. And the Rebbe said, if somebody tells somebody to do something good, and they don't listen, so the guy, what he spoke didn't accomplish anything. So then he spoke, Dvarim B'Teilim. The Rebbe many times by Fabeng it said, I'm demanding things from the Chassidim. If you don't do it, you're causing me to sin, Dvarim B'Teilim. And these are sichas of the Rebbe. But if they don't accomplish what they're supposed to accomplish, then they're called dvarim b'teilim. So, what does it mean you can't join a conversation about what somebody did? If it's for the sake of benefiting in Avodas Hashem, that means this guy learned X amount of hours and I think we should copy him, or this guy did this and this and that, then that's not rechilas, that's a mitzvah. If you just gossip is gossip. Listen, the Gemara says that Shaul HaMelech killed our whole city of Naiv, because Doeg Adoimi told Shaul HaMelech that, what's his name, that Achimelech gave David HaMelech food and a sword. So because of that, he killed out the whole city of Naiv. He didn't say anything bad, he said a fact. Achimelech gave David HaMelech food and the sword. But because it was gossip, it had a negative impact. The whole city of Naiv was killed. The whole city of Kayanim, by the way. The city of Naiv was killed in Gendik. Finished. Okay, now, what is considered Lashon Hara? The Gemara says, Lashon Hara says, somebody asks somebody, if he asks his friend, you know where I can get some fire? So the guy says to him, you know where you can get fire? In this guy's house, he has a lot of meat and a lot of fish, and he's always cooking. So in that house, you can get a lot of fire. So basically, he's speaking in the derogatory word, in a derogatory way. He doesn't mean that, yeah, he's such a nice guy. Now, for instance, another halacha, which is very practical, by the way. We mentioned yesterday, by the way, one did, but it goes much more than that. Lashon Hara is not always forbidden. By the way, the Rebbe said to people many times, when somebody wrote to the Rebbe, said to the Rebbe in Yechidus something negative about themselves, the Rebbe said, it's a sin to speak Lashon Hara on a Jew, and because you're Jewish, you're not allowed to speak Lashon Hara on yourself. The Rebbe told that to a lot of people. Yeah, but you're not allowed to speak Lashon Hara on yourself because you're also a Jew. You're not allowed to speak Lashon Hara on a Jew. So it says that... what did I just say?
Lashon Hara is allowed.
Oh, yeah, good, thank you. When is Lashon Hara allowed? So we said yesterday, if somebody, somebody never pays back a loan. They just never pay it back. And somebody comes to you and asks for advice, should I lend this guy money? Do you think I could trust him? Can I lend him money? So then you have an obligation to say, no, I wouldn't trust him. Why? It's Lashon Hara, but the other guy's going to get hurt because of that. So then you're allowed to speak Lashon Hara because you're saving somebody. The same thing in Shidduchim. What? With Shidduchim would be the same thing. If somebody knows bad about somebody and they're asked, there's a lot of complicated dinim about that. You have to offer something only if you're asked. It's a very complicated, very delicate dinim in that whole thing. For instance, a boy and a girl are going out. Let's say, even if they're not engaged, you're going out and you happen to know something terrible about the boy or girl. So you're obligated to say it. Or she just keep quiet. Very, very complicated dinim. Anyway, so sometimes you're allowed to speak Lashon Hara. Okay, what else is that? Okay, next. There's something that's called Avak Lashon Hara. Avak Lashon Hara is indirect, literally means the dust of Avodah Zarah. But what does it mean in a practical sense? Indirect Lashon Hara. For instance, somebody comes to you and asks you about somebody. So you don't say they're no good. That's Lashon Hara. You say, you know what, do me a favor. Don't talk to me about that guy. Don't talk. So you're not saying Lashon Hara, but you're implying Lashon Hara. So that's also biblically forbidden. Or another din, if you know the guy hates somebody, and you come to him and you speak good about the guy he hates. You're speaking good about the guy. That's Lashon Hara. Why is it Lashon Hara? Because what's going to happen? You're speaking good about the guy he hates, so he's going to say Lashon Hara about the guy. So therefore, you're causing Lashon Hara to happen. So it's called Avak Lashon Hara, the dust of Lashon Hara. It's not actual Lashon Hara, but it is. And therefore, you're not allowed to say good about somebody if you know it's going to bring bad.
We're trying to make peace between the two.
Huh?
We're trying to make peace between the two.
Okay, there's a whole din. It's probably too late, but that's a whole din by itself. Are you allowed to lie to make peace? So halacha is no. But what's a white lie? Not exactly a lie. It says in halacha mutar l'shanes mipnei hashalom. You're allowed to change the truth, meaning the whole sif in Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch about it. You can stretch the truth, but you can't lie. Instead, there's a difference between stretching the truth or lying.
Does that come under Lashon Hara?
No. If it's for the sake of shalom, you're allowed
Even
to.
though he's going to come back and say something horrible.
No. Because you're talking to make shalom between the two. When Aaron HaKohen went to the first guy and he said that Reuven he goes to Shimon, right? Reuven and Shimon are fighting. He goes to Shimon, he says, Reuven told me he wants to make peace with you. And Shimon said, he said, I know Reuven wants to make peace with you. And then he goes, so Reuven, okay, if he wants to make peace, I'll make peace. He goes back to Reuven and says, Shimon wants to make peace with you, right? Why isn't that a lie? So based on the Rambam that every Jew really wants to do good, so he didn't lie. The truth is, Reuven, Taka wants to make peace with Shimon. I don't know if Aaron said he told me he wants to, I know he wants to make peace with you. Because that's the real essence of the Jew, is to do good.